The rust on this blazer was so bad, we literally had to split this thing in half to fix it. In the last couple of videos, we got all the major rust right here replaced along with the floor patches pretty much almost finished. But in today's video, we're gonna try and get our bed floor reattached to our blazer body. See, this is what our floor used to look like, and now we built it out of fresh, clean metal, but we're not finished yet. We've got a couple small patches we still have to build up here, and then all along this on this side. And then we also have to get these corner braces re-mocked up and welded in place before we can move to the floor. After that, we're gonna turn our attention to the bed to get that cleaned up and ready to mock up on the blazer body. So let's do this. I always put a lot of thought into the process of preparing this truck because I want Mike and I to be as efficient as we possibly can. So I'm going to be repairing the front of the driver floor while Mike is doing all the repairs to the passenger side of the trans tunnel. Mike is going to be splitting this repair into 2 different patches just because it'll be a little bit easier. You could see this shape is extremely round on this first part, and so he had to bend that on the brake first and then hammer and dolly it into place. After that fit nicely, he was able to cut it and tack it into place while I was on the other side trying to build the template for the top of the driver floor. I always like to build my templates out of this cardboard-like material first. This is actually masking for floors. They sell it at Home Depot and it's relatively cheap. This stuff holds its shape pretty well, and so I'm able to do any modifications that I need to make sure it fits correctly before I transfer the piece over to metal and it becomes a little bit more difficult to fit up. So now I'm going to cut that piece out of metal and get it welded into place. We decided to pick up a second welder so that we both can be welding at the same exact time. So while I was doing the floor on the driver's side, Mike was getting this patch built on the trans tunnel and the other patch that he already built welded into place. And it's pretty much the same exact process of what I did, just a little bit smaller. He's gonna make sure that cardboard piece fits really, really well and then cut it out of metal. And then he's gonna go into the trailer and put this piece on the brake to put that light curve into it so that it matches the curve that already exists on the floor. They sell tools that will actually roll the metal for you, but we don't have one yet. So that is on our list. So we're just gonna have to use the brake in this and put the slight bend in it. But this has actually been a really cool process to be a part of in repairing this floor, and it feels really good to finally be on these last couple pieces to get this floor finished up. Okay, it's a new day. Yesterday we made a bit of progress on the floor. So I got this front patch all finished up and done, and it looks super good. This side is almost finished up. And while I was doing that, Mike was doing both of those patches right there. So both those are done. Mike is now gonna start to do this patch right here because all of this is routed out. It's gonna be a little difficult to do just because it is so round right here and it's got all these different curves in it. And then I have been working on mocking up this rear cab corner right here. So I had to get this in to make sure all of our new panels were in the right spot and it didn't interfere with this. And so far it actually fits up really, really nice. The inner rocker actually welds right to that cab brace right there. But you can see I had to cut out a little bit of rust right here that I'm gonna have to patch and then also build an edge on this panel right here because it welds to this. As far as that is pretty much mocked up. So that's what I'm gonna start doing right now. I'm gonna get this patch built right here, make sure it's all good, and then I'll pull all of this out and finish final welding everything. Before I final mock up that, I'm gonna do the other side as well, and then Mike is gonna be jumping on that front floor piece, trying to finally finish up the front floor so we can be done with them. step. Now. I originally was gonna have Mike do this piece right here, but then I decided since I did the other side, I was a little bit more familiar with how it was supposed to lay out, so I decided to tackle that while Mike was doing the last patch on the trans tunnel. This piece was actually a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. I had to do a couple separate cuts and then throw this on the brake just because the back of this piece actually is the end of the inner rocker, and then I had to force it around that floor brace, and that floor brace is not flat at all. It almost like cones out, so I had to get that cone shape into the metal, and it was actually extremely difficult. But once everything was shaped correctly, I was able to throw it in, tack it in place, and then do all of the rest of the floor patches in that area. Holy crap, we are almost there. So both of the cab braces are mocked up, and pretty much that's where they're going to sit. I had to come on this side and build this entire patch right here. This was pretty difficult just because of the shape of it, but man, it looks so good and actually fits really, really nicely against that. You can see how curved that piece is right there. Mike has been cruising away at that piece right there, trying to get that last piece finished up on the floor, and then that finishes up this entire thing. The last thing I have to do is I gotta unbolt these cab corner braces. That way I can get behind them and get everything coated in here with rust seal, and then bolt them up one last time and weld them into place, and then the cab floor will be finished. I swear the last 10% of work always takes up 90% of the time. We have mocked up these things so many times and done so many repairs around them to make them fit correctly. It feels so good to finally be at the last 2%. Before I install the corner braces, I am going to rust seal the whole inside of them, just because when we epoxy prime after we put these on, you're not going to be able to get any epoxy or corrosion protection in there. So I'm going to put all the corrosion protection on first and then bolt them and weld them into place. I'm going to let this sit and dry overnight so that I don't get it all over myself trying to hold it up and get it welded in. While I was waiting for those to dry, I decided to go ahead and jump towards the inner rockers. I decided that we're gonna build our own inner rockers because the ones that we bought from the aftermarket world did not fit at all. So these pieces are pretty simple to build. I just got them measured and then bent them on the brake. We can't weld these in quite yet because the rear cab braces have to go in first. But now that they're dry, we can actually throw them on and get them welded in place, and then we can do the inner rockers. Well guys, our floor is finally finished. We decided to build and weld in the inner rockers as well, just to finish that off. Mike did a really good job welding up the trans tunnel patch, and then I got the other patches finished up. We got the rear cab braces all rust sealed and welded in, so those are finished as well, finishing up the whole rear of this Blazer. These right here were some of the worst sections on this cab, but now you can't even tell that there was any rust there. Everything has been repaired, replaced. So now that the whole fiasco of this cab is pretty much finished up, we gotta turn our attention to the next problem area, which is our bed. If you guys remember, this was one of the worst spots of the rust right here. And of course, we fixed it on the cab, but on our bed floor, it is completely rotted out all the way across the top of that. So first off, we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna clean off all of this rust. That way we can see what needs to be repaired, because there are some rust holes over here that we're noticing. So we are gonna have to do some repairs, but we're not quite sure how bad it really is. So we're actually gonna try out something new. We got a little tiny sandblaster from Harbor Freight. We're gonna try and just spot blast this whole area right here. See if we can get all of that rust cleaned off, and hopefully it's gonna show us the condition of the metal underneath. Then we can go ahead and make the repairs that need to be made. So we're gonna grab the bed and take it outside and get some lights set up, because it's dark right now, and hopefully this goes well. We've never done this before, but I mean, it is what it is. Let's try this out. This is one of the downsides of sandblasting, is you can't sandblast metal that you can't see. So once we pulled this bed off away from the body, we had that whole entire rotted part. Mike brought over his little sandblaster gun to see if we could try and get the rust off the front of that bed. And this little thing actually worked pretty decently. I think we're gonna need to get a bigger one to do spots that are a little bit more rusty, but to get the surface rust off, it worked extremely well. So now that the majority of the rust is removed, we took the bed back inside, and we're gonna start to do the repairs to the bottom of this bed. Okay, we got our bed back inside, and the little spot blaster actually worked pretty well on these areas with a little bit less rust, but you can see over here, they are pretty bad still. So we're actually gonna be replacing about 1 inch of this section, starting from here and kind of coming all the way over to right here. So just this strip right there. So we have to get this repaired first before we flip it and bolt it to our body. Well, one of us is doing this section, the other person is gonna jump on that center piece that got cut out right there. And then once that's done, we'll be able to flip this around, bolt it to the bed, and then the bed will pretty much be reattached to the body. So we're moving along, we're gonna get this last little metal work done, and then hopefully the bed bolted up. We are almost there. We are so excited to finally start to get exterior sheet metal put on this, and this is the last thing that we have to do before we can do that. But we had to flip the bed back over again just because we had a little bit of work to do under the underside. Mike was cleaning up all of the rust while I was hammer and dolling all of the dents and trying to straighten them out. After that, we got these inner braces rust sealed and bolted on, and then we can flip the bed back over, hopefully for the final time. Oh, look at that. Nice! It worked out great. Now with the bed flipped over, we can start on the final rust repair on this bed. We got these aftermarket floor patches because the front corners are rotted, so we're just gonna be using the tops of both of the pieces because we don't need the whole patch. The main problem when trying to patch rust spots on floors is all the aftermarket companies, the dies are a little off, so the floor patches never line up with the original shape of the floor. So Mike had to do this rear floor patch in 3 separate pieces just to make it line up. I luckily was able to do it out of 1 piece. They are a tiny bit off just because they're always a little small, but there's nothing you can do about it, and I think it came out pretty nice. Also, you're really never gonna see this. This Blazer will be carpeted and the underside will be textured, so you're really never gonna be able to tell that we did work here. And just like that, we are ready to reattach our bed to the body. So Mike got this patch knocked out and it looks absolutely amazing. I jumped up here and got this patch done, along with jumping over to this side and fixing a little bit of rot right here. Both of these corners right here and right here are pretty rotted out. We have patches for them, but we're gonna patch those as soon as we get the bed bolted back to the body. So this has been a ton of work, but we are just about ready to bolt the bed back up to the cab, finally. This really has come along so far in the last couple of months. We're super stoked to get this thing thrown back together and all the panels thrown on it to see how it looks. Before we permanently bolt this bed up, we gotta make sure it fits first, make sure all of our holes line up, and we're gonna 8115 the underside just so it doesn't rot. But other than that, we're pretty much to the point, get this thing bolted back up. So let's do this, enjoy it. This is the last view. It's about to be one instead of two pieces. This was definitely a crazy moment. It seemed like it was just yesterday we had to cut this bed off away from the Blazer to make these repairs, and now we are already going back together in the span of a couple of months. And Mike and I aren't even on this thing every single day. We only do a couple days a week, and we split half the time between this and the Cutlass. So really, for the amount of time that we have into this, I feel like we're moving extremely fast.
Oh, now hold on. It's all foggy.
Foggy.
Glass cleaner or something?
This is 3M's 8115, also known as Panel Bond. This stuff is pretty indestructible. It is an epoxy, and they actually use this to glue on bedsides in the collision industry. We are going to be using this to not only seal the spots of the panel where we stripped, but also to glue it and make sure it never comes apart ever again. So I really feel bad for the people who are gonna restore this truck in 50 years because it is gonna be a pain in the butt to get this separated. When you spread this 8115, you're gonna make sure to coat both surfaces as much as you can so you get complete coverage. Got it here and over here. So now we're finally ready to get this bed bolted up for good. Okay, I got it for good. In case it broke for the last time. Okay, I'm in. Now the last thing we have to do is put the 5,000 bolts back in this bed and bolt it all up, finishing the bed attachment to the floor. We decided to run one final bead of 8115 along that seam, and then Mike smushed it in with his finger just to completely seal that seam. That way no moisture gets in there. Bed is detached. Bed is detached. Wow, what a huge step in the process of restoring this Blazer. This was definitely a huge hurdle, making sure this was in the exact same spot that we took it off of. We made sure to take all the measurements, make sure everything was good. Got all of this 8115 to everything bolted down and reconnected to the cab. This is a complete Blazer now. Not only that, we finished up our front floor patches. We've made tons and tons of progress in this video. Really, all we have left now is exterior sheet metal, which is honestly pretty simple. In the next video, we're gonna finish doing the bed patches back here, and we're probably gonna get our bedsides mocked up. So pretty dang crazy. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe, leave us a thumbs up, let us know your comments down below, because we still got a lot of work to do on this Blazer, and you're gonna wanna see the finished product. So thanks so much for watching. Oh my God.
Hurry, we almost out of battery.
So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time on the Blazer build. Peace out.